Hey guys, how you doing? Today is an unusual day. And actually it started last night, alright? Okay, so this is Walter, by the way.
Nice to meet you guys.
So, I was online last night and there was a Jiu-Jitsu page forum thing, and there was a white belt reaching out asking if there was going to be like if anybody in Brisbane had like an open mat on a Sunday. And I thought that's a little odd, right? Here's this white belt looking for training on a Sunday, right? And then so I contacted him. I said, hey, look, like I'm nowhere near Brisbane. I'm down in Nerang is where I live, right? And I said, like, if you can get to Nerang, like I've got a dojo at home and we can train at home if you want. And he was like, yeah, like I don't have a car, like, so I'm gonna have to get a bus, and then it's gonna take like an hour and a half on the train, and I was like, what? So now we've got a white belt who wants to go and do some training for a couple of hours, but he's prepared to travel for like 4 hours to go do it. And I was like, I guess it's a little unusual for like a third degree black belt to reach out to a white belt to go train with them, right? And because there's no money changing hands, he's not hiring me for a private lesson or anything like that. But I'm like, this sounds like me when I was like, and he's 27, the same age that I was when I started jiu-jitsu. So I was like, I'm intrigued by this kid, by this guy, yeah. I want to meet him. Like, this is really interesting, right? Like, we can do some training, but there's got to be a story here, right? And so, like, maybe you should tell the story, man. Like, tell me what you said. Like, he's from France or something. He'll tell you what's going on and his little journey. He's had a cool journey in jiu-jitsu. Show them your tattoo.
Oh yeah.
He's got before he even started jiu-jitsu, he's got a jiu-jitsu triangle over an Australian flag as a tattoo. So anyway, I'll shut up and let him do his thing.
Yeah, that's fine.
But it was interesting, man.
Rob, thank you for having me, man, and thank you for doing this. And to everyone out there, well, good day, I guess I'd say. My name is Walter. I'm just a French little skinny third degree white belt. Just coming to Australia to experience, I guess, a shift in life. And I first arrived here in the purpose to renewing myself based on childhood traumas, heavy alcohol consumption, drug use, and suicidal.
Your alcohol consumption
was really, really bad.
You
before,
were, or your parents?
My parents, but then so myself. So coming from a childhood being domestically abused, not having a parent figure really to look up to, I kind of had to rely on different people throughout my life to guide me, and some were not the greatest people, which led me to down path, and hence why I moved to Australia. So been in hospitality industry for a while, never really know what I wanted to do with myself until Jiu-Jitsu arrived in my life. So I guess being a white belt to me is being a kid again. It's rediscovering self-confidence, it's moving forward, and it's about bettering ourselves every single day. Life, we're not always gifted to start on the same path, but I think through Jiu-Jitsu, we can all start equal, and we all can get given a chance. Am I correct, Rob?
Everyone starts at zero.
That's it. Everyone starts at zero. So it's like walking again. It's almost like it's like being a newborn, and everyone. I think we hear that a lot, like Jiu-Jitsu for everyone, but it is really for everyone. And going through my childhood traumas, so many psychologists, I saw psychiatrists, tried to prescribe me medication. It didn't really work for me. This is literally the thing that saved my life, because of those type of
Because he said in his message last night, he said, Jiu-Jitsu saved my life, so I want to come and train. Because I said, are you sure you want to travel for like 2 hours each way to come and like roll in my garage? And he's like, yeah, Jiu-Jitsu saved my life. And I'm like, whoa, there's a story here. Like, I want to meet this guy. I keep going to call him a kid because he's kind of little, right?
I am a real kid, you know.
But it's fascinating, and how similar our paths are. Like I had a really broken up, busted up, weird childhood. It's very similar, like alcoholic, abusive father, and distant mother figure, and my martial arts coaches were my mentors, and that was the only kind of stability in my life. Was like, my life was chaos unless I was in some sort of a dojo or academy, and then there was like structure, and the instructor was there, and you know, sure, I'd get beaten up and stuff on the mat, but like, at least it wasn't violence. Even if I was boxing or kickboxing and getting beaten up, it still wasn't, I didn't see it as violent, because it was my choice as to whether I took part in it or not. And I would still respect my coach, even if he like strangled me or armbarred me or squashed me or threw me, or, you know, if you're doing karate, I was getting hit and punched and stuff. And it was very different, you know, and then you would feel fine about that. But then when I would go home, and then your drunken father would come home and like beat the hell out of you and stuff like that, then like, that's real violence, because I'm not choosing to want to be a part of it. And like, hearing this from him is like, as soon as he said I just train all day every day and I'm just obsessed with it, then like, that's usually an indication that there's something going on somewhere. And yeah, it's really fascinating. So like, and how did you find our training today? Like,
well,
I think it was a bit different for him.
It's a little bit different than the usual academy I go through, I guess, because there is like, it was a one-on-one, so there is time to be a bit more in an environment where there is less noise, there is, I guess, less distraction, and it was really once in a lifetime experience today. Not just because I get to train with a third-degree black belt from a Gracie lineage, but just because I get to connect with a human being. And I think that's the point of Jiu-Jitsu. We're just touching base on violence. Like, I've been confronted to violent environment. I've seen things that most people don't want to see, and without even going into details, I did a bit of Muay Thai when I was younger, but always had a bit of issue striking because of I guess, trauma and PTSD. And to anyone out there that think martial arts may be violent, Jiu-Jitsu is not violence. Jiu-Jitsu is a way of thinking. It's a way of applying concepts. Yes, we get choked, we get put in our bars, we put our body on the line, but it's our choice. And
like, we have to make the effort to go to the academy and take part in the class and volunteer to roll with someone who could potentially choke us. But like, the great thing is that you can just tap anytime and stop the whole thing, yeah? And the person has to respect that, you know? Whereas like, when I was boxing, you can't almost get hit. Like, you get hit and then you might go, I want to stop, but you've got hit first, you know? Whereas in Jiu-Jitsu, like, you can kind of have a half a choke on it if you're uncomfortable, you know, because like, quite a few people come to Jiu-Jitsu and they have had trauma in their past, and like, maybe not, you know, I mean, women can be a little more sensitive about like choking than like maybe guys. So like, in my school, there's no pressure to have to roll whatsoever, like at all, you know, until you're ready. So like, at least the first 20 classes, we just drill, we don't roll at all. It's not compulsory. If you're really athletic and confident, you really want to, then that's fine. But I certainly don't pressure anybody to have to do that, because I want them to feel really comfortable, and you don't know what people's histories are. And so when they come on the mat, you could be like stirring up something in their past that makes them want to leave. Whereas I want people to stay on the mat. I want them to have a good time and enjoy Jiu-Jitsu the way that it can be enjoyed. So giving them the opportunity to like just progress with the discomfort of the physical contact at a pace that's like comfortable for them, like being able to provide an environment where that's okay. Like, that's a whole new concept to like when I started Jiu-Jitsu, which was like death, maim, kill, smash stuff. Probably why we didn't have very many students, right? But not so much as I've got older, but as a result of what I went through with my back injury, and now having come out the other side and been back teaching full-time again, then I'm more aware, I'm more empathetic, and more aware of like where vulnerable people are coming from. Beforehand, I didn't even understand what vulnerability was. I had no idea. I was like a 95 kilo wrecking machine for most of my life, and I didn't know vulnerability. When I hurt my back, we had a home intruder, and there's nothing I could have done to protect my wife. And we were very lucky it didn't escalate, because I wouldn't have been able to do anything about it. And it was that moment where everything changed for me from that point onwards, because then I understood what vulnerable people feel like. And I'm like, man, like that's a horrible feeling. I don't want anyone to feel like that again. So I want the whole world to do jiu-jitsu, because like it's like you've got your own like little invisible shield that you carry with you. You know, like you might have cauliflower ears maybe, but you don't walk around with a huge hulking physique. You don't have to have tattoos and all those sorts of things. And you can't really tell like a kick-ass jiu-jitsu guy on the street. You know, like there's some pretty light guys like this guy. You imagine this guy's training every day in another couple of years. You pick on him in the street, he's going to kick your ass, you know, if it's required.
Literally, you know, it's like it's not about kicking people ass. It's kicking yesterday's version of ourselves ass. That's what jiu-jitsu is about. So jiu-jitsu is not about violence. It's about control over our body, control over our mind.
Yeah, it's like a shield that you have around yourself. Yeah. Like a shield is for protection. If somebody goes to hit you, you can protect yourself. You're not extending yourself to create violence against other people, you know. And like there's a big difference between that concept of like, I want to train people so that they have this like invisible force field around themselves that keeps them safe, you know, and that when they're walking around, if they go to the supermarket, if you know, maybe they have to go to the supermarket really late at night, there's not many cars in the car park, there's not that many people, you know, and like maybe they're smart, they park the car close to the entrance where the lights are and things like this, so they don't make themselves into a victim unnecessarily. But even going into the supermarket, maybe it's like a 50-kilo chick, you know, or a light guy, you know, like not all guys walk around like thinking that they're Superman and stuff like this. And women certainly don't, yeah? More women come into the academy and go in their head like, I can't fight, please teach me. Whereas a lot of guys come in their head, they're like, I reckon I could kick ass if it really came down to it, but I'm gonna let this guy teach me jiu-jitsu. And I think that's why a lot of the time women will learn jiu-jitsu faster, is because they're more open. They don't have that ego that us guys tend to have.
And that's a very good point right here. I think, you know, like we should embrace that beginner's mind into, hey, I don't know this, is there a way? Please tell me more about it. And to all the white belts out there, it's like you might experience being spasmed. That's inevitable. You're gonna, especially more as a man, you're gonna walk into the gym. So you're gonna get perhaps against a 16 years old when you're 30 and you think, oh, I got life experience over that kid's just a kid, and next minute is gonna kick you out. And you're gonna spaz and get tired. So it really shows you that sometimes overcommitment is unnecessary. Like anything in life, excess is unnecessary. And it's about finding balance, but it's about finding your balance, regardless of your grade, regardless of your age, and regardless of who you are. And that student mindset reflects not solely on the mat, but outside of it, because it pushes us to be more careful and aware of who are around us, what are their surroundings, and also show that any background.
Yeah, you'll meet some killers on the mat, people that you don't expect to be like amazing, you know, and a lot of guys, I see it happen on the mat a lot. It's like, you know, they'll come in, they're 35, 40-year-old guys, they're kind of athletic and strong. And, you know, they'll go to roll with some little kid who's like 12 or 13 who's really good, and that kid who just kicks their ass.
I got my ass kicked in the comp by a 16-year-old kid, actually.
And it gives you respect for everybody. Like, you leave the academy not just thinking about that one kid in the academy, but maybe you're walking through the shopping mall a few days later and there's a bunch of like little punk kids sitting around, you know, doing whatever they're doing, and like you're like, maybe you'd normally say something to them, but like maybe you're gonna go, man, I better watch myself, because like maybe they do what this other kid does. Like you can't see jiu-jitsu in people. It's like a little invisible thing that we have, a little invisible
It's really like
power.
a superpower, yeah.
Yeah,
like
it's pretty cool.
It's funny. But also, like, realistically, is not just an art, it's a lifestyle, but it's jiu-jitsu is what you want it to be. It's not about what is predefined, it's not about what you may read always on the internet. Just go for a trial class, and see if it works for you. Even if you go to one trial class, I guarantee you're gonna get something out of it. Maybe you're gonna get back, maybe not, but you're gonna get a big reality check. And in this day and age, it's very, very important to be grounded. And I think before everything, that's one of the main principles of jiu-jitsu. We talk a lot about base in jiu-jitsu, about how our body is sitting on the mat and how body weight is distributed, but base is also grounding, and it's being present in the moment. And you'd see a lot of people, they have a lot of worries, there is a lot of problems going on in their life, and they step on the mat and nothing else matters.
Yeah, I think that jiu-jitsu has the unique ability to bring everybody into like a mid-ground. And as a coach, I see that as my main job. So people will come in and maybe they're a little arrogant. I mean, that could be covering up some insecurity, but they come in with bravado and stuff like that. So like, I'm like, that guy or girl needs humility. So we need to bring them down a little bit, hold them down a little bit, make them a bit tired, like make them feel vulnerable, make them realize like, hey man, like you're not all that, yeah? But then you have people who come in who have come from like different pasts, like maybe they're small, they could be big, but they've had some trauma in their life and they're kind of insecure and they're very kind of quiet and you know, and I'm like, well, my job is to kind of bring out the tiger in them, like let's lift these people up. So I'm trying to get everybody into this like happy gray zone where they're confident without being arrogant and they're humble without being like insecure. So I'm trying to get everybody into this mid zone, which is where I think everybody kind of functions best, where you're calm and relaxed and you're confident without being arrogant, but like you have humility without like being self-deprecating. Yeah, and I think that jiu-jitsu does that. Arrogant people get humbled and people who are less confident get brought up and their self-confidence raises, and then everybody's kind of in this beautiful like mid-zone. That's kind of like an ideal academy in the way I see it.
It shows that progress is not linear, and sometimes even like I'm pretty sure as human beings, as much as we're trying to reach that level of balance, there might be moments we might feel a little bit more arrogant, and jiu-jitsu is actually there to teach us to get humble back. You think we're making progress, yeah, I'm getting good, and then you're gonna want to test yourself because only what you know. You get comfortable with it within your academy.
You'll get a new belt.
You get a new belt.
And then you go to the competition and
now
you're at the bottom again. You've been winning
time.
in the tournament. You're a white belt and you're kicking ass in the white belt tournament. And then your coach goes, here's a blue belt. And you're like, yay. And then you go to the next tournament. You're like, oh no, I don't know anything. I've got to start all over again. And then you work your way through blue belt. And then you're winning your gold medals. And then you get your purple belt. And you're like, yeah, I'm a purple belt. And then you go to the comp, or maybe you visit another academy, or you train with the other purple belt in the gym who's been a purple belt for years. And you're like, man, I don't know anything again. And it's just this constant, like you know, increase in like your ego, and then you get humbled again. And then it's ego and humbled. And we're all kind of on this ladder, you know. And I mean, it's common for like my students to go, oh wow, you're amazing, and you know, like when I roll with white belts, yeah, of course they think I'm amazing, right? But I'm like, what's the first word out of my mouth? I'm like, man, you should see me when I train, and I ask questions of my coaches who are like way up the stream, way up the ladder, way ahead of me, red belts, you know, corral belts, and like 5th, 6th degree black belts. These guys, you know, and like I feel like an idiot. I feel like I don't know anything when I'm like talking to them about jiu-jitsu. I'm like, but it's amazing because I'm like, wow, like there's just no end to this, and it's incredible. So it's been an amazing time with Walter, sorry.
No, that's all good.
And so if you see him in any of your academies, like, yeah, for sure, like, no doubt he'll pop in and say hi. But it's been an amazing experience. Hearing about what you've been through, it's been awesome training with you.
No, thank you so much for having me today.
Yeah, so regardless of where you are, go find yourself a good academy near you and jump on the mat. And if you're not sure who in your area is good or who I would recommend or whatever, then feel free to like private message me, find me through Facebook or Instagram, through Base Jiu-Jitsu Gold Coast, and I'll point you in the right direction of the people that I know in your area who I think will kind of meet your needs best. And
one thing as well to finish, I guess, like it's an amazing community to be part of, and everybody says that's been sticking for a little bit, at least even a few months, but once you start jiu-jitsu, you'll never be alone a single day in your life, regardless.
You can travel anywhere in the world and just walk, and I've done the same thing, man. Like I've, traveled the world, and then you just walk into some random academy and do some training, and the guy's like, where are you staying? Like, I haven't got accommodation organised yet. Bam! Before you know it, you're sleeping on one of the guys' sofas, and then you meet their family, and then they come back. They're going to come back to Australia and meet you, and it's just, it's an amazing thing. So a lot of people, if you're, I guess to speak out to the guys out there, if you're feeling alone, if you're feeling a bit down, break up with your girlfriend.
Yeah, I mean, you can
any beautiful single women out there, give them 6 months to get over this last thing, and then come and find this nice guy, right? But if you're going through some stuff as a guy or as a girl, for sure, give us a yell. Both of us have been through a ton, and you'll find jiu-jitsu to be an amazing outlet for you. Anyway, we better go.
Thank you so much.
Cool, man.
Thanks, guys.
Nice to meet you guys.
Awesome.
Take care. Bye.